I, 26, am a male with 3 kids, 2 female preschoolers and a male toddler, and a fourth on the way. Before we had kids, my wife and I had lots of ideas about the parents we were going to be, and we had lots of scorn for people who parented in ways we disagreed with. But as any parent knows, actually raising kids is hard work, and you'll break your values. My brother, 22, is doing a psychology degree with a few modules on child psychology and development. He regularly tells me that he thinks iPad kids are spoiled brats who'll struggle developmentally, and they're the spawn of lazy, negligent parents. I wouldn't say my kids are iPad kids, but they do have an iPad between the 3 of them and more screen time than I would ideally like, but sometimes they take breaks. My brother also disapproves of the fact that we give our kids sweets as bribes, occasionally, and have lied to our kids. Every time he tells me his views on parenting, I just laugh and tell him to try being a parent, then I'll take his advice. Recently, due to an emergency, my wife and I needed a babysitter for a whole day, so I called my brother because, despite his judgment, he is actually very good with our kids. When we got home in the evening, the kids were in bed having had dinner, and we thanked him profusely. He very earnestly told us that now that he'd experienced being a parent, he realized that not letting your kids use screens was very easy, and they hadn't watched TV or used their iPads in the 12 hours he'd been there. He also said he'd calmed their fears. They had been aware of the emergency a little bit, read to them, and had not had to bribe them to do anything with sweets. He dealt with very calm, relaxed children, as opposed to the brats they normally are when they're with me. His words. He gave us a 20-minute lecture about our bad parenting, and now that he was in a position to give advice, he was going to give it. We'd been planning on giving him 200 pounds to thank him for doing this for us on short notice and looking after the kids for so long, but we sent him on his way without any pay. The next day, I called him up to tell him that I thought his behavior was incredibly inappropriate. I appreciated him looking after the kids, but it was better that he didn't see them for a while, and his springing that all on us, especially after a day of stress, showed how immature he really was. I told him he didn't know anything about parenting because he wasn't a parent. I concede I may have gone too far, but my mom called me up later to tell me my brother was crying. She called me an idiot because he was just trying to help, and apparently, I'm a bad parent for dealing with people's kindness so rudely. My brother and parents are angry at me and not talking to me. So, am I the idiot? So you saddled your brother with 3 kids under 5 who are used to being entertained by a screen and bribed with candy so they do what you ask. He gets through a day needing none of that, and it sounds like interacting with them in some other ways, and you're upset? Your brother could have been a bit more gentle with you, but he wasn't. So instead of giving him the 200 for caring for your kids for 12 hours, you withheld that because he told you what worked for him that day? And now you're withdrawing his ability to interact with your kids? Really? Do you use all people this way? I think you're more angry that his way worked. He was good enough to come in last minute, and obviously good with the kids. He hurt your pride is the bottom line. People like you assume someone childless has no clue how to deal with or manage kids. You saw for yourself that your brother does. Sorry, I agree your brother was a jerk for how he presented it, but you are the idiot in a significant way. His way worked once, out of one time he tried it. I'm sure OP has had many days with his kids when no screen time or bribery was involved. You're making the assumption that OP is angry at his brother. Bro succeeded where OP wanted him to fail, rather than being angry because Bro had the unmitigated gall to claim that 12 hours of childcare counts as experiencing parenthood, to the point that he had the right to lecture OP on how to raise his own kids. That is so massively disrespectful. I agree that it was an idiot move for OP not to pay him for his time, but you're really discounting how inappropriate the brother's lecture was. Everyone's the idiot. I disagree. We had lots of scorn for people who parented in ways we disagreed with. This really set the tone for your post. You and your wife seem aggressive and judgmental. Something tells me your brother didn't lecture you about your parenting and just reported how the kids did, and you took it too personally. You are the idiot. The higher the horse, the harder the fall. My female 30, husband 31, dated Kathy, female 30, for 3 years while at university. They were planning to get married when Kathy fell pregnant, but she confessed the child may be another man's. They broke up, but a DNA test proved my husband was the father. As such, my husband agreed to co-parent, but refused to rekindle the relationship. Very sadly, the baby was born with a heart defect and passed away at 4 months old. Kathy and my husband were destroyed, and Kathy ended up moving away. My husband went on to meet me, and we were married 2 years ago. My mother-in-law, 60, has always carried a torch for Kathy and thought they should get back together when the child was my husband's. Then the next reason became so that Kathy and my husband could help each other with their grief. Unfortunately, between her love of Kathy and my being a different race, mother-in-law's made no secret of not liking me, to the extent that she's excluded me from family photos because I'm not family. My husband has always stood up for me in these scenarios. My mother-in-law's birthday was last weekend, and my husband wanted to throw a celebration at our house. We went the whole 9 yards with the cake and decorations. My husband also asked for my help picking out a very expensive handbag as a gift. I love my husband, and I know he loves his mom, so I'm happy to help him do something nice for her. My mother-in-law showed up on the day with Kathy in tow, which was a surprise for everyone. She said that she had run into Kathy at the store, as Kathy has recently moved back. Mother-in-law wanted to reintegrate the mother of her grandchild back into the family, never mind the fact that the baby passed away around 6 years ago now. I was really upset, but this was only exacerbated by my mother-in-law constantly trying to throw my husband and Kathy together. Kathy, why don't you sit next to him? Kathy, why don't you help him with the barbecue? Kathy, would you mind asking him where X is? I spent the whole day biting my tongue, but it was too much when everyone left, and my mother-in-law asked Kathy to hug my husband. My husband initially refused, but after some pushing from mother-in-law, he relented and hugged Kathy. When they left, I asked my husband what he was thinking. He said he didn't want to upset my mother-in-law on her birthday, but I asked why he wanted to upset me. He said he didn't. He just thought it would be easier to handle with me later. I was furious and said that I expected that either mother-in-law would apologize or she was no longer welcome in my home. My husband said that I was going too far, but I don't think I'm being unreasonable. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. Easier to handle with me later is code for I'd rather hurt you because it's easier to make you forgive me than deal with the cause of the issue. He allowed his mother to force physical intimacy because he didn't want to upset her on her birthday when she brought the ex, who cheated on him, to your home and tried to make them flirt. She deserved to have her birthday ruined. God, if I were Kathy, I'd probably be so weirded out by all of this, though I wouldn't have gone at all if the host hadn't invited me. You have a husband problem. You should have kicked his mom out the moment she turned up with Kathy. My thought as well. OP's husband may have been trained all along to obey mommy above all else. OP, put your foot down. Now that Kathy's nearby, and mommy's already opened the door and changed the lock, so to speak, Kathy's going to be in your front yard constantly until mommy gets what she wants. Why on earth did Kathy go along with it? Coming to the party's one thing, realizing it's at your ex and his wife's house and constantly being thrown at him? Why did she not leave? Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Kathy's an idiot and has no shame. Why would she show up at the ex's home uninvited by the ex or a new wife? Unless an ex is on friendly terms with their significant other, inserting oneself into their lives is unnecessary. OP, watch your back, because your husband, your mother-in-law, and Kathy do not have your best interest in mind. I, 27 female, am getting married to my fiancé, Alex, 29 male, in 2 months. We got engaged last year and decided to have a small engagement party with close family and friends. It was supposed to be a joyful occasion, but my sister, Emily, 24 female, caused quite a scene. Emily's always had a flair for drama, but I didn't expect her to make my engagement party all about herself. She showed up late, wearing a white dress, which felt inappropriate. and immediately started complaining about everything: the food, the decorations, and even the guest list. The breaking point was when she got into a heated argument with my best friend, Sarah, over something trivial. She accused Sarah of trying to steal the spotlight. She ended up causing a huge scene that left many guests feeling uncomfortable. My fiancé and I had to step in to defuse the situation, and it completely ruined the mood of the evening. After the party, I had a long conversation with Emily about her behavior. She apologized, but it felt insincere and more like she was just saying it because she had to. Since then, I've been anxious about her attending the wedding and potentially causing more drama. After much thought, I decided not to invite Emily to the wedding. It was the best decision to ensure the day went smoothly and was about celebrating our love rather than dealing with unnecessary drama. When I informed Emily, she was furious and accused me of being unforgiving and petty. My parents are also upset, saying that I should have given her another chance and that I'm being too harsh. Now I'm starting to feel guilty. I don't want to cause a rift in my family, but I also want my wedding day to be peaceful and happy. Am I the idiot for not inviting my sister to my wedding? White dress? So she was rehearsing for the performance she intends to give at your wedding. Give her another chance? Why? So she can wear a wedding dress to your wedding? No way. Sis has a screw loose. I really don't see how you have any other choice but to exclude her after that. Not the idiot. Was your sister high or something? I'm the sister who usually has some kind of drama, and I would never even consider behaving like she does. A white dress? Arguing with your best friend? No. No wedding for her. No, she has the hots for OP's fiancé and is trying to break them up. OP, do hire security or delegate some friends to make sure her gate crashing is not successful, because she absolutely will not take no for an answer. Completely agree. Also, I don't want to cause a rift in my family. You're being manipulated. It's a classic tactic used by abusive idiots where they've caused the damage, but the consequences are still up in the air. The reality is that Emily already ripped the rift wide open at your engagement party. You aren't causing anything. This situation happened months ago. My niece got pregnant at 17 and gave birth at 18. During her pregnancy, she had a baby shower, and I bought her expensive, cute baby clothes and toys and other related items, like an expensive car seat and diapers. It was $400 for all of this. I had the money for it, and I really wanted to help my niece. Her mom, my sister, did not help her throughout the pregnancy and told me she was kicking her out as soon as the baby was born, which did happen. I don't blame my sister for kicking her out or not caring for the baby at all. That's a whole other situation. I just wanted to help my niece. After giving birth, she started living with her boyfriend and his family. I was going through Facebook, and my niece had multiple listings for the baby stuff I gave her. I messaged her asking why. She said she loved the stuff I gave her, but she's selling it because she wants piercings and a tattoo. I was livid at this point, and in the heat of the moment, I told her not to ever ask me for help or babysitting or anything. She then said, "I have my boyfriend and his family. I don't need your help," then blocked me. It turns out, from what I heard from the family, that her boyfriend, the baby's father by the way, and the family aren't helping all that much. Everyone else in the family doesn't want to babysit or help, so she's been asking me to help because she wants a job. I flat out tell her no and do not ask for help from me again. You don't need my help, remember? She was telling me that she was at the end of her rope and can't live like this. At that point, I started to feel bad, but I just told her a second time not to ask for my help again. She's asking me to help with babysitting and money almost daily, but I'm sticking with my decision. Am I the idiot for this? Not the idiot, and don't give in. She needs to learn the hard way to put her baby first. Selling the baby's things to get piercings is the most selfish crap I've ever heard. And I say that as someone who had my first child at 18. If you watch the baby while she works, how do you know she just won't spend that money on crap she wants rather than her baby? Dollars to donuts, she will not send over formula or diapers or anything with the baby and expects you to provide it. Hard pass. I'm divided in this. You're not the idiot, but what's your end goal here? Do you want her to be stuck in this situation or give her support to better her life? Also, have you spoken to her about what she did? Does she show repentance? Or does she realize the brutal truth of her life and show a willingness to work towards improving it? In the end, you don't owe help to anyone, but being her aunt or uncle, maybe a little help from you can help her, provided she shows awareness. So I had a baby some weeks ago with my partner, to whom I'm not married. We've been together for a while, and I've made many compromises in this relationship. While discussing the baby's name, we had a few disagreements, but ultimately decided on a name we both liked well enough. The surname was a sticking point. He wanted the baby to have his name alone. I offered to hyphenate because, logistically, it's easier for the baby to have both of our names. He's been drinking the red pill Kool-Aid lately, a large bone of contention in this relationship, and went off about how it's tradition and the right thing to do and his right as a man to have the baby have his surname. He told me I'd be emasculating him and may as well be a single parent if I didn't grant him this one little ask. My word is final. Baby has one surname. This was late in my pregnancy, and I didn't have it in me to fight, so I told him that I understood what he was saying. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago, when the baby's birth certificate came. He blew a gasket when he saw that I'd given the baby my surname. He rehashed the conversation above, saying I agreed to give the baby his surname. This is where I might be the idiot. I did nothing of the sort. I told him I understood him, which I did, but I never said I agreed. I told him there was no way I was doing all the work of making a baby for him to stick his name on it. When he brought up tradition, I told him it's also traditional for him to marry me before having a baby, but he was happy to ignore that. I told him it was traditional for him to be the provider, but I do that too. And I pointed out other holes in his logic. I told him trying to bully me into submission with his red pill BS when I was exhausted from pregnancy didn't work. He should have known better than to expect me to not share a surname with my child. He said the baby should only have one surname. They do, so why is he mad? He went crying to his brother and mother, all traditionalist and misogynist, and now they're all up in arms. Am I the idiot? Was he not there when you were filling out the forms? That's pretty telling too. Not the idiot. What to name the baby is definitely a valid conversation, but he wasn't having one with you. He was trying to bulldoze you without compromise. You're unmarried and likely will be the default parent. He doesn't uphold any other traditional practices from your perspective until they benefit him. That's a selfish trait in him. When the baby has the same last name as the mom, it makes things a lot easier with travel, doctors, legal issues, etc. Also, when most people talk about babies or bringing them up, nobody calls the baby by their first and last name. Enjoy your new baby, and if needed down the line, if you get married to this man or someone else, you can always change your last name. How the heck is drinking the red pill Kool-Aid a coping strategy? Have some respect for yourself, girl. Why are you with this man? If he's so traditional, has he proposed? It isn't bad for the entire family to have the same last name, especially in a traditional family where the parents are married and dad's a breadwinner. That all kind of makes sense, but it's hypocritical for this guy to cry about tradition when he isn't taking on all the traditional responsibilities. For the love of God, break it off now before he does any more damage.